Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Yuriorkis Gamboa is back in action. You know, this guy reminds me a lot of, he just fought Gabe Rosado. And what I mean is that win, lose, draw, he's going to give the fans excitement. And that's why he's able to get another, I would call a big fight, coming off of 2 back-to-back losses. Yuriorkis Gamboa. Let's not get caught up in the fact that he lost against Tank, he lost against Devin Haney, he lost against Terrence Crawford. Those are hard fights to win. But let's understand that this man's been fighting since 2007. You know, that's a long time to be fighting. You're talking about 15 years this man's been fighting professionally. He has 30 wins, 4 losses, 18 knockouts. So he's not the type of fighter who's, I would say, on the decline. I would say that he I don't know how many more performances he has left. Now, he's going up against Isaac Pitbull Cruz. That's a problem for anyone. Pitbull Cruz fought Tank Davis. He's very aggressive. He's very small. He's very compact. He's very powerful. His aggression, his confidence, his power, short, crisp punches, I think is going to give Gamboa some problems. Probably around the midpoint of the fight, because Gamboa slows down. He gets tired. Pitbull Cruz will fight every second of every round. That, I think, can be the difference of the fight. Well, one of the differences. Because it's hard when you're a boxer to get leverage on your punches unless you sit on your punches and you let your shots go. But when you're up on your feet and moving around and throwing punches, it's hard to really get the pop behind it unless you're just naturally heavy-handed. Now, Gamboa, he can hit, he can crack, but I think it's more of the speed that was coming behind his punches than the power that was hurting his opponents. The other thing we need to understand with Yuriorkis Gamboa, when he fought Tank Davis couldn't knock him out. He couldn't knock him out. So this is where you got to understand what Rolly Romero's talking about as far as Tank bullying smaller opponents. Tank doesn't have the power that we think he has. Now, Tank has power. If he catches you, he can knock you out. But he fought Gamboa, and Gamboa had a tear in his Achilles heel. Now, what I'm showing you here is considered, in this image, is considered a tear or a ruptured Achilles heel. It often has to be repaired by surgery, but sometimes it doesn't require surgery to fix it. Now, that's what Gamboa had, and he ruptured that, I think, the second or third round of the fight with Tank Davis. And Gamboa went on to finish that fight, and he caught Tank with some hard shots. Now, if Gamboa had a healthy Achilles heel that whole fight, who knows what would have happened. But the truth is, and we got to be fair to Gamboa, he wasn't 100%. He was fighting in a handicapped state. And that's what we got to understand. Now, with a healthy Gamboa against Pitbull Cruz, it could be a problem for Cruz if Gamboa has his legs, his body cooperates, that Achilles heel doesn't flare up on him again, and he can actually move around and outbox and then eventually maybe land something on Cruz. But that's easier said than done, because Pitbull Cruz, he has power. He, like I said, he'll fight every second of every round. But you really got to take a look at who has Cruz fought up to this point. You know, we know he got the big fight with Tank, but maybe he was thrown in there a little bit too soon. I don't know. But Gamboa is like, this guy has, he gets opportunity after opportunity. And some would say he doesn't deserve it, but I would say he does deserve it. Because when you think about Gamboa and him starting boxing on April 27, 2007, And just think about the fact that this man has 30 wins, 4 losses, so 34 fights with 18 KOs. And he's only lost to Terrence Crawford. He's lost to this guy here, Robinson Castellanos. He got knocked out in round 7. Then he lost to Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney. Now, he was knocked out by Castellanos, he was knocked out by Crawford. But Davis and Haney, Davis basically, stopped him, but he didn't knock him out. Like, he didn't just totally just destroy him. He was handicapped fighting that fight, and eventually the referee came and stopped it around 11. And then with Devin Haney, of course, Devin Haney's not knocking anybody out. He just boxed him the whole 12 rounds. So you got to look at the people who he's lost to and the way he's lost and understand that those aren't bad losses. Those aren't bad losses. So going into this fight with Pitbull Cruz, I think if Yuriorkis Gamboa can, if he's prepared properly and he's in the right condition and he can box the whole 12 rounds and kind of move out the way and avoid Cruz and, engage at the optimal moments to give him the best chance of success and winning the exchanges, Gamboa's back in the mix. And he says he wants a fight with Tank, and he wants going into that fight 100% healthy. Now, be careful what you're asking for, because, Father Time doesn't wait for no one. When overnight, you'll just see it, guys deteriorate in the ring. Roy Jones, for example, we could say it's because he lost weight, he lost all that muscle, but it just happens. Even Amir Khan here with Kell Brook, the legs aren't the same. He can't move around the same. Yeah, he's coming off of a long layoff, but Father Time just doesn't wait for no one, man. No one can escape, can avoid Father Time. And Yuriorkis Gamboa is a guy who's been fighting for such a long time, stellar amateur career, and just 40 years old. I mean, how much further is he trying to take this? He keeps saying he wants to win another championship. He wants to prove he's the best in his weight class. He feels he can rule 135. Isaac Cruz feels he can rule 135. But how much more can you give at 40 years old? I think he missed a lot of opportunities in his career, Yuriorkis Gamboa, with just promotional issues and bouncing around. And I think he missed out on a lot of good money. With his stubbornness and contractual issues and lawsuits and different things, I think he missed out on his really capitalizing on what he brought to the table when he was in his prime. So he's got to do something, and wish him the best of luck. But Pitbull Cruz is no joke, and nobody's been able to stop this man. And I just don't see Yuriorkis at age 40 being able to do it. I think he'll have moments. I think he can move around, but at 40 years old, if he doesn't have the legs, especially if that Achilles flares up, but even without that, if he doesn't have the legs to avoid Pitbull, I give it 4 rounds. But I think if he has the legs around the 6th round, that's when we'll see Pitbull really start to come on, because Gamboa gasses. At age 40, you're just not Bernard Hopkins unless you're on performance enhancement drugs. You're human. You're just not going to be able to push the way you did when you were 20 to 32 years old, 35 years old. When you turn 40, things are different. So we'll see what happens with this fight. Excellent co-main event, in my opinion. Isaac Cruz, his profile has been raised big time. If he would have pressured Tank more, maybe he gets a knockdown. Then as a result, he wins a split decision. But stopping Tank, I don't think so. But Cruz did what he could. Tank he's young, he has legs, he has IQ, great defense, and he landed a lot of good shots on Cruz, but I say 80% of them, probably 70% of them land on Cruz's gloves. Cruz has a very tight defense. It looked good during the boxing match, but they showed the replays. A lot of Tank's punches weren't hitting Cruz. That's why Cruz didn't show any marks, or he didn't look like he took any punishment, because most of Davis' shots were blocked as a result of the great defense by Pitbull Cruz. So we'll see what happens in the fight this weekend. We'll see, man. Yuriorkis Gamboa is back in the mix. If he gets the win, it'll be huge. Kind of breathe life back into his career. He'll go on for another huge payday, and we'll just see what happens. But when you take a look at Yuriorkis, 5'5", 135 pounds, At 5'5", who's he fighting at 140? At 135, he already fought Haney, you got Teofimo, you got Lomachenko, you got Kambosos. What's really there for him? Regis Prograis, he's not messing with him. I mean, what's he gonna do at 135? You know what I mean? It's really Adrian Broner's not coming down to that weight, so I don't know what options Yuriorkis has. He's still a big name, but I'm just not sure what options he really has. And I think he's just looking for the big fights, big paydays before he calls it quits. And he's earned that right, and I hope he can get a couple more huge paydays before he calls it a day. But I just don't think this fight's gonna be this fight's gonna get him to the big fights, because I think he's gonna struggle, because Pitbull Cruz is that much of a monster. But anything can happen in boxing, so we'll see. That being said, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. More to come on these two. Looking forward to the fight this weekend. You guys take care. Thanks for your time watching the video, and as always, I'm in the breeze.